Some influencers taking pictures. Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Pinchuk. Thank you. All of my lifelong friends are up here, so thanks. I'm really, really happy that you guys are here today. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to be here. I always say that the number one thing that you can do in this fight against hate is to do something like this, to show up and to educate yourself. So please give yourself a round of applause. So I'm Lindsay Pinchuk. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a marketer. I'm an accidental activist as of October 7th, really October 8th. I like to say that really it wasn't an accident. I mean, I've always spoken up for every marginalized group. I've always spoken out for every marginalized group. But when I woke up on the morning of October 7th, like so many of you, I saw what was happening, and I knew I had to say something, and I knew I had to speak up. I grew up in a very Jewish community. I grew up in West Bloomfield, Michigan. I had a bat mitzvah. My family was the founding members of our temple. And I went on a trip called the March of the Living in 1997. And it was on that trip that I made a promise. And that promise was never again. And so when I woke up on October 7th and saw what was happening, and I knew I had to say something, but I really couldn't find my words, to be honest. I think like a lot of you, none of us really knew what to say. We were witnessing something that was just, we couldn't even imagine. And on October 8th, I was in the Whole Foods parking lot, and I made a reel. It was a very basic reel, and it was just saying how I felt as an American Jewish woman, largely because I live in a community where I am friends with a lot of non-Jews, and I wanted them to understand what I was feeling and what I was experiencing when I had to go later that day to the softball field with my kids. So I made this reel, and I drove home, and in the 7 minutes that it took me to get home, the reel had been seen 100,000 times. And I knew in that moment that I had to keep talking and that people were connecting with the message. And so it was on that day that I started talking, and I haven't stopped since. I have lost probably 10,000 followers, maybe more, but I have gained over, and this number is not lost on me, I have gained over 36,000 followers since October 7th. And so it was really important to me today that we had this panel and brought up some of my, as I call them, colleagues, and I'm going to introduce you to them in a minute, to talk all about these things that we're doing every single day, but also the small actions that you can take to do them as well. Because we cannot fight this battle alone. Everyone plays a role, even if it's showing up today, you're doing something. And so we want you to walk away from today with actionable steps that you can put into your everyday life to fight the battle against anti-Semitism and to stand up for Israel and the hostages and everything that's important to all of you here in this room. So I'm going to introduce you to my colleagues, as Sam and I like to say. Right, Sam? I didn't think they would still be my colleagues in this format.
We like to say that Lindsay is in charge of the Chicago satellite office.
I'm the Chicago satellite office. So next to me is Svi Cole. And Svi, so why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and tell everyone how you got here?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming today. So as Lindsay said, I'm Svi Cole. I'm basically an accidental activist. I'm a marketing executive. I run a marketing consultancy. But on 10/7, I just had to do something. I had to speak up. And I really didn't think twice about doing that or those ramifications because I had to do something and say something. And so, you know, I also grew up in a very Jewish community in Newton, Mass. And I went to Solomon Schechter Day School growing up. So I've been, you know, involved in the culture and so forth my whole life. And I have grandparents that survived the Holocaust and a great uncle that survived the Holocaust. And so I've heard those stories directly. And when I saw what happened, I was just so moved and so, you know, taken aback by what was happening. And I think what really struck me was that no one was reaching out. No one was really saying anything. Nobody in my friend group was doing anything or posting like I had done so many times before for so many other people and their causes over the years. And I've always been the person to support those causes. Nobody at my gym, nobody in my community was really speaking up. And so I felt like I had to do it and I had to keep doing it. And so I really focused on curating content and then optimizing it and really getting eyeballs on that content so that people could see what other people like Samantha and like Lindsay were doing. And I'm doing some videos myself here and there, but I'm really focusing on trying to maximize the eyeballs on the great content that's out there. So yeah, that's it.
All right, Sam.
Already follows V. You need to follow V. Cole. I'm Samantha Edis, and I have spent most of my career in the women's empowerment space. And on October 7th, my son was bar mitzvahed, October 7th, 2023. And on that day, we actually didn't understand the gravity of what had happened in Israel. So the party went on, and it didn't honestly affect anything because there was no one from Israel there, the time change, etc. And we woke up the next day, and normally I'd be posting cute pictures at the party. And it was then that we understood what had happened. And so I started posting about the atrocities in Israel, thinking in a few days the grown-ups will show up, the experts in the Middle East, and I'll go back to my regularly scheduled programming. And that never happened because there just weren't a lot of voices there. And I realized that unlike Lindsay and her description of herself, I was a Hebrew school dropout. I was the daughter of an atheist. I was not equipped to play this role. So I realized I would have to educate myself and fast, and I started reading voraciously. I'd read a book every night or two and just kind of tried to give myself a master's in the Middle East and trying to understand what was going on there so that I could play the role I needed to play. And because of that, I found my voice or my niche as someone who could deliver the news in a very digestible way. So when I wake up every day, the first thing I do is check my Telegram channels and try to make sure that I'm delivering the news ahead of our very flawed media outlets that we've all come to rely on. Along the way, last year, I was very frustrated by how few celebrities were speaking out about anti-Semitism. And so I launched a campaign to get celebrities to speak out. It was called 2024 New Voices. It's now combined in one Instagram channel. Yeah, so those voices have run out. Sadly, the pipeline's a little bit dry. But certainly we welcome all celebrities. If there's any celebrities watching on Zoom, or we welcome you. All you have to say is, I am a celebrity and I speak against Jew hatred, or I am against Jew hatred. That's as simple as that. But I realized that the trickling celebrities are actually, it's great news when they do speak up. So we've combined it into one brand, which is called Good Jewish News. On Instagram, every week I share 10 pieces of good Jewish news, both on Instagram and in my Substack newsletter, which is called The Jews Letter. And before October 7th, I had written 5 books, and I am an author and a speaker. So I'm now all about the Jews. So everything I do is Jewish focused, and I feel so honored to play this role. And I also feel so grateful to all of my colleagues who are up here and out in the audience today, because we are a strong and small force of people. And every single one of you in this audience, if you could just do a tiny bit more, it would make our jobs that much easier. Every single person who speaks out against any transgression, it doesn't have to be big or small, makes a huge difference for all of us. So.
And then next up we have Kareem Wells, my fellow Chicagoan. Thank you so much for being here.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? How's everybody? My name is Kareem Cole Wells. I'm known as the King of the Mitzvahs. I'm a social. Yeah, it's true.
He does them in Chicago too. I'm going to plug that.
Yeah, I do them all
In New York too. Sorry, we're in New York. He does them in New York too.
all over. I own a company by the name of Flow Entertainment. I'm a social entrepreneur. Most importantly, I'm God-fearing, right? I'm a father. I'm from the west side of Chicago. I'm ex-drug dealer, high school dropout. I mean, the most imperfect human being you probably could ever meet. But I'm here today. It's true. It's true. But I'm here today, right? And people say, you know, why are you talking? Yeah. People, you know, would say to me, you know, why are you partying with all the white people, man? You're partying with a lot of white people. And I'm like, but, you know, I'm doing what I love, right? I'm employing black people from the neighborhoods that I'm from. I'm giving them jobs and a different experience. The reason that I'm here today is because my mother, who I love dearly, she was the one that took me as a kid, took me on train rides from the west side of Chicago to downtown. And she told me to look around, and it was always just different people. And, you know, as a kid, you know, you get irritated with your mama real quick. You like, she's constantly going, what do you see? What do you see? And I'm like, people. No, but what do you see? What do you see? I'm like, people. I would never say like Asian woman or this person or that. I was just people. And my mother said, never forget that. We're all people. That's something that my mother shared with me. And as I continued my journey to do bad things in the streets, things that I thought I had to do, I met a lot of people in the process. So as I continued my journey of things that I did absolutely, I think was just super wrong. You know, I sold drugs to relatives, pregnant women. I've done things that I'm just not proud of, right? I've done those things. But my mother and different people believed in me. They believed in me enough to say, you can do better than that. You got something special. And I used to dance, you know, I used to dance and do all of that stuff. And people would say, you got something, you got something. And a guy by the name of Chief, who was a drug dealer, who was in the streets, who showed me how to protect myself, showed me the things about the street, and a couple other guys, Vess, and just different people like that. They believed in me, even though it was something wrong. You know, I was doing something wrong, but they still believed in me. And I remember that feeling of like, man, people believing in me, people believing in me, so I got to believe in people. But first I got to believe in myself. I had to believe in myself, and I did that. I did that for years and years and years and got out and changed and became a busboy and then started meeting Jewish people like my son's, and we'll get into that, my son's mother, right? I started meeting just different people, and as I did that, I realized, man, I got something. And you know what it was? It was love. It was love, just genuine love, like nothing, unconditional love. And I used that to further my life, further my career, further my relationships. Like even today, like with you hitting me up on IG, you hit me in the DM with the, I don't know if we can afford you, but, and I said, well, what you trying to do? Like, what we talking about? We talking about put your hands in the air, or we talking about some good work, God's work, right? Some good work. And so we talked, relationship, you knew my reputation, you know what I care about. And so here I am, y'all. I'm here to just share like we all are. We're here to share. We're here to really uplift. And we're going to have to use every ounce of our souls and spirits to get this job done. Our kids are dependent on us. I really mean that.
Thank you. So one of the questions I get asked all the time is, are you afraid? And people will say to me, I am so afraid, I can't do what you do. Well, you don't have to do what I do. Everyone, like I said, plays a role. So Sam, I want to start with you, and I want you to answer. What would you tell someone who is afraid to stand up and who says that? I mean, you and I talk all the time, all day, every day. We call people out, we put people on blast, and you know, sometimes it's scary, right? But I think you and I do it with grace, and like most of the people in this room who does it, we do it with grace. What would you tell someone who's like, I want to do that, but I can't, I'm too afraid?
I would say it's scarier to be silent. And I really, in my heart, believe that. I think that I could not sleep at night if I wasn't speaking up about what's going on in the world. And I've always felt that in my heart, but now that I'm a mom of 3 teenagers, I feel it even more deeply, that I'm their role model, and if I'm not speaking out against hate, if I'm not speaking out against anti-Semitism, who will? And I don't see other people and think, oh, they're going to speak out for me. I know that I have this role to play, and I also know that it doesn't take what Lindsay just said about it's not about duplicating what she does or duplicating what I do. We can all play a role in our own lives. Not every single person is comfortable confronting other people or being outspoken, but you can also be a quiet activist in your own life. I know that every day I feel like I'm playing whack-a-mole, and it's stressful and it's exhausting sometimes because you have to pick and choose your battles. Which are the battles I'm going to fight that day? And so when I see Aliza picking a battle or Lindsay picking a battle, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do that one, or Zvi, they're on that. I can tackle something else. So there's just simply not enough of us. There's too many battles, and I get DMs all day long from people saying, oh my gosh, you have to see what just happened at my kid's university. Can you post about it? Can you do something about that? I just had this experience at this store. I wish I could fight every single one of those battles, but I'm a one person, have one fire hose, and I can't always address all of them. And so when someone says to me, I am tackling this offensive letter at my kid's school, or there's a sign over there that I don't like and they're addressing it, it does wonders for all of us. And so that's what I would say, is that it's not about fear for me. It's scarier to be silent.
And I want to echo something that Sam just said that's really important. She said, I want to be able to sleep at night. And that's usually the answer when people ask me, why do you do what you do? Well, I want to be able to go to bed at night knowing that I've done every single thing in my power, and I have fought tooth and nail on something that I believe is right. And again, that my kids see that I'm doing this and that they emulate what I'm doing, and that's important. That's really important. So Kareem, I want to ask you, you and I started talking probably about a year ago, and it was very interesting how Kareem and I started talking. I made a comment, either I commented or I made a caption somewhere along the line, and I said something to the effect of, like, no one else is standing up for us. Like, no one else is marching with us. I have marched with every marginalized group, and I'm looking at your heads nodding right now, and I know many of you have as well. I've spoken up for every marginalized group. Where is everyone? And Kareem commented back to me, and that was the olive branch that kind of came out. And he and I send each other voice notes all the time, and he gives me really great advice when I get so upset that no one's marching alongside with us. So Kareem, what would you tell this group about other people helping us out and standing by our side, and how do we reach other people that are not just Jewish?
Honestly, I think I would tell people, where's your love? When hate is in the room, present, you see something bad, and you have love in you, you know it's wrong. So I challenge them on that. I'll challenge anybody that's not Jewish. I would say, man, you saw what happened to those babies. You heard what happened to those babies. If that happened on the west side of Chicago, south side of Chicago, people would be really mad and angry and hurt. So we have to go to the love place. It's wrong. It's that simple. It's not this big complicated thing. It's wrong. And I would tell them, if you have love in you, you need to speak up. Because I can say I've had Jewish people speak up with me, like walk out there with me when something happened with George Floyd or whatever it was. I've had a lot of Jewish people, whether they wrote a check, which I always tell them this, I appreciate the check, but it's a lot better when you make your presence felt, when they can see you out there. You know what I mean? Like when people can feel your presence, it's even more powerful than getting a check. Now you need the money to help you do whatever the move is, but you got to make your presence felt. So I would tell people to use love to do it, to make that conscious decision, because that's what I had to do. I had to use my love. That's simple.
I want you to expand upon that really quickly, because you do something with the bar and bat mitzvahs that is really important and really unique, and I don't really think any other DJ that I've come across does. So I would love for you to explain your mitzvah project with everyone.
I appreciate that. The truth is, this black young man from the west side of Chicago created it. I know I did. And what it is this. You know, we book out 3 years in advance. I've been doing this for about 20-something years. And the truth is, I was in a meeting with a family one time, and they were like, man, I can't get
You can say who it is because it's you can say who it is. She's another activist like us, and I didn't know this until you mentioned, and
Well,
a lot of you.
I'll let you say it, since you
It
brought
was
it up.
Suzanne Munchin.
Yes.
So
Yes. Listen, what I did was I'm in a meeting, I hear, I'm saying, man, I can't get my kid to do the Mitzvah Project. I can't get them to study the Torah portion and do this day of service. And I'm like, well, what they trying to do? It was like, well, we're trying to do this. We're trying to, I said, well, what if I came with you? Because I know the kid was like, yo, they think I'm cool or whatever, and I don't think I'm cool at all. I'm just me. Like, I was born like this. You know what I'm saying? Just me. And the kid was like, the mother was like, you would do that? I was like, yeah, why not? She didn't know I had a Jewish kid that had his bar mitzvah. She had no idea. I didn't walk around just going, my son's Jewish, he had a bar mitzvah. I wasn't that kind of dude, right? So I just said, what are you trying to do? And she's like, we're trying to do this. And I was like, how about I come with you and just hang out and just be a part of it? I wanted it to be organic. I'm not forcing nobody to love me, right? So in order for me to do your party, you want me to rock with your family and friends, I got to do the Mitzvah Project with your kid. And what we call it is a party with purpose. That's something I've been saying for a long time because people really think Jewish people run everything. Y'all know that, right? Like people, they really believe that and think that because of the propaganda. And it's like they see these big bar mitzvahs that I'm doing, and they like, whoa, look at all of that. Look at this. I'm like, no, it's deeper than that. And so I was like, how can I get, the community I come from to see that, no, it's deeper than that party? How can I do that? And then at the same time, show these Jewish kids like, yo, I know you in your own bubble. That's a bubble over there. They call me the bubble popper. And I'm like, pop, pop. And I bring those kids in their day of service in their Mitzvah Project with kids from the west side of Chicago, if you've never been to the west side and south side. And they're hanging with kids that they probably never would really be around with, that they don't go to school with, but they get to share a certain passion. So if it's basketball, dance, art, I bring that, and we get the supplies, and we do all this, and we bring that kid, all their friends, over here, we out west kicking it. And everybody like, wow. And the kids are in the room like just enjoying themselves. They're not thinking about none of this madness that the adults created, that we all create, this madness that's out here.
Well, and I think what's important about what Kareem's saying is that Kareem is a bridge builder. And that really is what is important. And I think you can take what Kareem is saying and you can apply it to your everyday life. It's about building bridges and educating and sharing experiences. So you don't have to be the king of mitzvahs, doing it on the level up here, but we can build bridges down here too. So each one of us up here, and yes, I know Kareem basically works with the Jewish community, like you have Jewish clientele, so it's a little bit different than the three of us, but like the three of us here have businesses outside of being an activist. And I know that when I first started speaking up, my mom, and she's gonna love this because I think she's watching, but she said to me in her very like Jewish mother way, she was like, are you sure? Like, are you, and you really shouldn't be talking about this. And I was like, I would have it no other way. I mean, thank you. And so Svi, I want to turn to you because you very much do what I do. You are a marketer as well. And I would love for you to shed some light onto what you would tell someone who's afraid to speak up because of clients and because of business relationships, because you've done a beautiful job.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me personally, I didn't give it a second thought. It was just something that I had to do. I felt, compelled to do it and to speak out and to post content, share content, and use my voice however I could. I didn't think it was political at the time. It was really about the hostages and bringing them home and this horrific event that had happened. So I think, you have to balance, how that could impact work or clients and so forth. But for me, that was first and foremost. And quite honestly, if someone was not going to work with me because I'm Jewish or because I'm taking a stand for Israel or to bring the hostages home, I mean, those are, I mean, it's it has to happen, and it's just like not even a question to me. So then don't work with me. You know, it's that choice. Why would we want to? Why would we want to service those people that don't support that? But I think there's also ways to do it more quietly, like you had said earlier, if you're afraid or so forth. I mean, like and comment and share on the content that's out there. Send it to your non-Jewish friends. Send it to people that aren't posting. Just post something and share something. I also think that, you know, you will get back what you put in. So, you know, the more I posted and connected, we've built this incredible community, the community that's here these past few days. We've connected with so many people, and now we're connecting with them in real life, which is amazing. And, you know, when we've created this incredibly tight circle of friends that are so connected, and Sam and Eliza and others of us, we talk all day long, every day. I mean, it's phenomenal, and it's actually helped me through all of the past 18 months in terms of, you know, we share ideas and comments and whatever it is, and so getting that back, you know, if you think about what you can get back from putting things out there that you believe in, it's phenomenal. It's just like what you're talking about with love and so forth. It's the same thing. You're going to get it back tenfold. Another thing that we did early on, I partnered with Melissa Lukowitz, who's an attorney based out in LA, and we started the 10-second challenge, which was simply meant for people that could use their voice and just say, bring them home. In 10 seconds, it takes 10 seconds or less, bring them home. And we just kept, you know, pushing that message out there to get more and more crowdsourced videos to push that message out there and share it. It's a very simple way to use your voice, no matter how far your platform reaches. You know, we can then push that content out there. So I think that's, you know, think of an idea like that, or if you haven't done anything yet, you can still do it. We need to bring them home. So, yeah, so a couple of ideas.
So I want to echo to what Svi just said, you know, and what I went back to my mother with, and I said to her, you know, my business is actually up like 500% this year, and I would never have ever not spoken out. But to his point, the right people are connecting with me. I don't want to work with someone who doesn't like Jewish people. I don't want to work with someone who's going to throw me under the bus, you know. So it's okay to speak up and speak out, and it does come back tenfold. So we talked a little bit about, in our pre-call about this panel, we talked a lot about how to choose which battles to pick. And I think that, you know, like Sam said, we play whack-a-mole all day long, and I know a lot of you feel the same. So any one of you can chime in. This is not a directive question. How do you pick which battles to choose? Or how do you choose which battles to fight? Sorry.
I was actually thinking about this the other day, because for me, and I know this sounds very woo-woo, and I'm not typically a woo-woo person, but like, I don't sleep much. I lost my house in the Palisades fire in January, and we lost all of our belongings in our community, and a lot of other things. And I think that one of the things that has kept me going is the fact that I'm fighting a much bigger battle than the one at home. And it almost, and when I think about the Jewish people over the thousands of years and what they've had to overcome, there's like almost something poetic about the fact that I was drawn into this on October 7th, 2023, and that this is almost prepared me in some way for this family trauma that I'm trying to get my teenagers through in a healthy way. But I think it's also made me realize just how precious our time is, and how, you know, I am a little more pressed for time than I was before we lost our house. And for me, it's like something will come to me in my head in the middle of the night, because I don't sleep that much anymore. And I'm also kind of always a little bit on Israel time. I think we all feel like that. Like our time zones are all strange because we know there's news coming out all the time. And for example, the other day, Idan Alexander, who's the only remaining living hostage in Gaza from America. And it's a shame that every single person in our country does not know his name. I don't know if you remember Brittany Griner's story. I was obsessed with, she's a WNBA player who'd been really in a terrible situation in Russia, and they arrested her when they shouldn't have. And I was so worried about Brittany Griner every single day of the 9 months or whatever it was that she was in jail. And so for me, it's unfathomable that the whole country doesn't know Edon Alexander's name. And I started thinking a lot about Edon Alexander and thinking about the fact that I had never done anything for Edon Alexander. And so I just spent kind of like a week or two researching Edon Alexander. Like, who is he? Oh, he's a Knicks fan. He was a swim champion. Like, things that I hadn't necessarily seen in a lot of places. And I ended up doing a video for Edon this week and collaborating with some of my friends. And then Edon's parents reached out to me today to say, oh, can you add us to that video? Because now it's been seen hundreds of thousands of times. And we don't know if it's making a difference for Edon. We have to hope it is, because every single one of these battles is so important. And for these, we know that how many now living hostages is it? 24 living hostages now. We know there's 24 left, and we have to fight for every single one of them. And every single, what a lot of people don't realize is every single call or email you make to an elected official is logged. And the things that get attention, whether it's your city council member or your senator or your president, the things that get attention are the ones that come up most on those logs. So the call to action in the Edon Alexander video was contact your local official and tell them you're concerned about Edon Alexander so that he's showing up in that log. But whatever it is, I try to find a place that maybe isn't oversaturated, because as I said, my colleagues are handling those other battles. And so I try to take on a battle that I feel like is worth fighting for and that I can do given my bandwidth.
So we're going to open this up to questions in a few minutes. If you have a question, you can raise your hand, and Mayan's going to bring you a card. I forgot to say that at the top of this. And while she's doing that, we've already started talking about this, but I want each of you to answer this question, because this is really the big takeaway from this conversation. I would love for you to give 2 actionable things that people can walk out of this room and do today to stand up against anti-Semitism. They don't have to have a huge platform, just 2 actionable things. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
Well, because I just kind of said what I think you should do, but I think if you haven't done it, take a piece of content, share it, like it, comment on it, but then share it to 10 non-Jewish friends so that you can expand, so we're not just talking to ourselves, so that we're pushing it out there. And if you're already doing that, then tell your friends to do that. Really push that out. And I also think that, if you haven't done it, record yourself and put a post out there. Say, do the 10-second challenge. Say, bring them home. It's so simple. You can do it. And let's push that back out there so we get those last 24 home. And I think it's so simple for us to do and to use our voice in that way. And it can be really effective, and we can reach millions of people.
Bring them home. That's all you have to do. Send it to Svi, and you can send it to
we'll
Svi.
repost it.
They'll repost it. Okay, Sam.
So I would encourage each of you to adopt one of the living hostages. Learn their name. Just pick any one of the 24 remaining. Learn their name and think about them, and you'll find ways to get involved. You'll follow their family and friends account. You'll find ways that you can help advocate for that one person, because they all need as many voices as possible. And that's just one very tangible thing you can do. And then the second thing I would encourage you to do is to embrace your Zionism. So what does that mean? Well, Zionism is actually just now the target of the people who hate us. They have now said, I don't hate Jewish people, I just hate Zionists. Well, guess what? It's like saying, I don't hate Pakistanis, I just hate Pakistan, right? No one would say that. And that's what they're saying to us when they're saying, I don't hate Jews, I just hate Israel. So we have to reclaim the word. It's like when they tried to take the word feminists from women. You can't take away that word from us. So embrace the fact that we all believe that we deserve a homeland, the one that we've been in for thousands of years. Embrace the fact that you're Jewish and you're loud and proud. Every time you wear a Jewish star, every time you share a post or you subscribe to the newsletter, that's a shameless plug. Every time you do anything like that.
Fantastic, though. Definitely follow it.
Anytime you do anything like that, it helps all of us. And the other thing is the echo chamber. We are all feeling a lot of the times like we're in an echo chamber. Find one Jewish ally. Turn your friend into an ally. Have a conversation with a friend about what's going on in the Jewish community.
I think you have to be proud of who you are. It's that simple. Like, I can't change my skin color, so you get me raw and uncut just like this wherever I go, period. I'm going to be me. So I think for the Jewish people out there, you're just going to have to be proud of who you are. I'm willing to die for my skin color. I'm literally willing to die for it. I really mean that. I'm willing to die for it. So that's the first thing. Be proud of who you are. And the second thing, I stand on this. I stand on this hardcore. I'm not sharing anybody's hate. I don't care if it's social media, if I'm sitting at a Shabbat dinner. I don't care if it's sitting at my mama's crib eating. I'm just not going to share the hate. I'm going to spread as much love as I can. I'm going to die for the love because I know my children's children. I actually just had my first grandchild in March, last March. So March, right? So 1 year old coming up. And I'm standing on that love because I know that one day he's going to be 30 years old, 40 years old, and I don't want him to have to experience any of this or his kids. So I'm fighting for all of our kids. It's that simple. So I would say love. I'm telling y'all, do not share the hate. Do not fall into it because hate does not defeat hate. Hate joins hate. Only love can defeat hate. I really live by that.
So I want to add two things to that, and I loved all those answers. The first is open the door to conversation. Reach out your hand. Okay, I can't impress that more upon you. Just anecdotally, my kids are in a carpool for volleyball, and none of the other parents are Jewish. And every Saturday for the last 6-7 weeks, they've gotten me showing up a mess because we've been watching the hostages come out. And so we go to these tournaments, and I'm sitting there, I'm on my phone, I'm crying, I'm a mess. And no one really asked me, but I said it. I said, it's a very important day right now. These 4 hostages were released. These 3 hostages were released. It doesn't have to be even educational or preachy or anything. It's just making a statement. And the minute I would make that statement, people ask me questions, and it opens the door to then further educate. And so, I had one woman and her mom, so a grandmother, sitting there with me. And the grandmother even asked me, like, can you tell me a little bit more about Israel? And can you, she was asking me a lot of questions. And it gave me the opportunity to teach her things. And she looked at me and she was like, I didn't know this. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people don't know. And it really just takes you reaching out your hand and offering to have that conversation. It doesn't have to be berating anyone. It doesn't have to be an argument. It's just reaching out. And then the second thing, the second thing that I want to say is we have to support one another. Like, it doesn't matter political views, it doesn't matter religious views. We have to support one another. We have to support our community. We have to be lifting each other up constantly. I'm going to plug my newsletter. So I have a newsletter called The Chai Tea, and every week we spill 18 ways to support the Jewish community. It's business owners, small businesses, large businesses, events that go on with people like the ADL and whatnot. So support each other. That would be my 2 things.
I would just add.
Yes, please add.
I totally agree, and we have to lift each other up, and that's why most of the content that I do post, it's more from a positive angle. I try to have that embedded within, but I also think what was important, which we learned yesterday in terms of the media, if anyone was in the media area, was calling out the bias that we see, calling out the way that the media is reporting things. I know Sam and Eliza and we do that all the time, but and many others do too. But we have to continue to call that out because it's just so prevalent, and it's crazy to see, on a daily basis, the way that they're reporting things, and we know it's false, and this false narrative spreads. So we have to address that.
Yes, 1,000%. So I think, Mayan, do we have some questions? Okay. Thank you. Oh, she'll give you a card. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. I'll start with this one and then I'll read through these. So, how do you stay inspired to continue to act and advocate? And I definitely think this goes along with what I was saying in the beginning. Like, I don't think we thought we'd still be here, but we're here. So how do you continue to stay inspired? Who wants to take it?
I'll take it. It's simple. I mean, I'm going to keep saying it, y'all. It's just as simple. I see the love. I felt the love. I've been on events. I've been in family homes before the event. I felt the love in their home way before the mitzvah celebration, right? I've sat down and had dinner, and we just talked about life, not about the party. We didn't even talk about the party. We just sat down to talk about our life experiences together, and we found out we had a lot more in common than we had in differences. So for me, it's just I stay inspired by people. I want people around me that love. It's that simple. If I got a room full of people that love and it's a room full of hate over there, I ain't going over there. I'm staying right here where I'm liked and loved, and I'm going to work with that group of people. I'm not trying to work with the hate. So I stay inspired just by life experiences, like literally. That's what it is. Like my life experiences is what keep me involved.
Kareem, you inspire me. I just adore you. You're amazing. And I'm sure so many people in this audience feel that way. The other thing that's been really strange, and I would never have expected that this would be the answer, but I know it sounds weird, but I feel a little bit Israeli now. Okay, so I took a group of people to Israel in May, a group of celebrities and influencers, and a lot of them were in this room. And one of the things that struck me, because I hadn't been back since I was 15 years old, was the strength of the Israelis. And we have an IDF soldier in this room, Noy. Shout out to Noy.
Hi, Noy.
And Noy inspires me. Noy is incredible. And when you think of what the IDF soldiers do every day and how they think and their mentality and the mentality of the Israelis, they're still going out to dinner when there's, bombs above. They really still live their life. They still enjoy their life. And so I feel infused by that mentality.
I think that right now, the anti-Semitism that we're seeing is so blatant, right? It's out there, as I just said, in the media. It's in so many places. And I think prior to 10/7, it was more hidden. It was more an underlying current. And I wasn't personally so aware of it in my daily life, but I knew it was there. And I think, now that we're seeing it on this daily basis, it's just out there. And it makes me, when you say what's driving me, I see it on a daily basis and I want to respond to it. I want to squash it. I want to put it out. And I think that our whole lives we've been dealing with it, but we might not have known about it. Or if it's in the workplace, someone might have been treating us differently, but we don't necessarily know for sure or can't prove it. So, I think this is an opportunity to really address it and squash it out. And then the second thing would be the community that I mentioned earlier. This community of amazing people that we've connected with throughout social media, throughout our daily lives, through events like this, that also is very much inspiring to me.
Thank you. What do we say to our friends who see our stories advocating and sit in silence?
You missing out because there's something special happening in the world, something of greatness with all the people coming together. I would tell all of them, you are missing out. Because we are about to change some things, y'all. Look around. Look around this room. People are showing up for something great. Something great is happening. We just can't see it all just yet because we're in it. And I'm pretty sure Martin Luther King and Rabbi Heschel, I'm pretty sure when they was in it, they was wondering, where are we going? What is this we're doing? Wait a minute, they're hitting us. What's going on? What is going on? But look where it got us. We got to that mountaintop that Martin Luther King was talking about, y'all. We just got to get off the comfy couch. We got to all get up. Oh, man, we uncomfortable. Get up, y'all. Get up. Everybody get up. Work together and make this happen. Because our kids are dependent on us. It's that simple, man. We're going to have to use the truth. Use the truth.
So a very similar question. What do you say when you're sitting at a table with someone who believes that Israel is committing a genocide or is spewing propaganda at you? How do we handle that?
I think you should move tables. I think...
Say that again louder into your mic,
I think you
please.
should move tables. Really, I think that when you look at the percentages, right, we have a very loud minority of rabble rousers, the people with the keffiyehs, the people who are trying to disrupt classes on college campuses. Now, there's obviously a leadership failure with the fact that these people are not stopped sooner, but they're less than 10% of the population. There's 10% who are in the fight and they're aware of everything going on, and 80% is just the inertia group, right? And so most people are not against us. So if you're at a table with someone in the 10% of people who is spewing lies and hate, your energy is probably not best spent with that person or trying to change that person.
I would say, for me, I would say, have you ever been to Israel? That would be my first question, because I've never been to Israel, right? So if
Gotta
I'm
get
around a
Kareem
bunch,
to Israel.
yeah, fine.
Everyone in the front row.
Working on it, y'all working on it. I'm definitely going to go. But that's what I would tell people, like, have you ever been there? How can you really speak on that? You know, it's like me meeting with someone that's never been in the black community and seen the gun violence, and you've never been in the community. So I would say to you, have you ever been there? Have you ever really went to go see what's really up? So I would say to people, man, have you been there? How can you talk this negative and you've never even been there? That means you're going off of, you know, other people's opinions and stuff.
So Kareem, this question is for you, and this person said, first and foremost, which I want to read, thank you for being such a great soul. And then the question is, as a fellow black man, Jewish parent, and Chicago representative, I'm here at Never Is Now. How can we partner to fight anti-Semitism in the black community?
Wow. I would say this, we have to educate. I think we have to use things that our kids love and that people love, like dance, art, just the things that we love. We have to use that as a way to bring people in. And when you bring them in, you start introducing them to your friends. Like, you can pull up with me now on the west side of Chicago. I'd be like, yo, I'm going to speak to some kids. I want you to just come with me and tell them what you do. You don't have to come in the door like this. I'm Jewish, right? You don't have to do that. You Jewish. And you're going to share with them from the inside out. And when you do that, it's going to be organic. People are going to know, yo, we really kick it. No, she didn't just pull up because I paid her some money to pull up. She pulled up because we like each other and we agree on a lot of things. One of the things that we agree on is love. And she's here because she got love for what I'm doing. I brought her here because I got love for what she's doing. And we may disagree on things, but I want you to just meet my friend. It's that simple. Meet my friend. We kicking it. We kicking it and we talking to you. Just like we doing right here, right now. We just talking. We sharing with each other.
Amen.
So I would say, hey, man, listen, we're going to make me bring no choir in here. We're going to start getting it in, singing. I would say to you, hit me up, man. Like, reach out. Like, I'm really doing this because I care. And I would say whoever that is, you know, I did point to the black dude in the room. I was like, I went to the brother like, yo, what? I know it's you. I don't know that. It could have been this man over here. But I would say, hey, y'all, let's connect. We have no reason why we're not following each other. The more we pour into the love, the more we pour into that and show that, the hate is going to get really small. Really small. So hit my line. I'm in the schools. I'm willing to go any and everywhere to spread the message and use my platform, the little platform I have.
So there have been a couple of questions basically along the same lines, and I think we should all answer it. But how do you handle the backlash? What do you do to risk doxing? There were a lot of questions like that. I mean, obviously we're all, you know, we put ourselves out there every single day, but how do you guys handle that?
Well, I mean, I've had my Instagram account shut down many, many times. And it's really, you know, a topic we haven't talked about, but there was whatever, if it was the algorithms or if there was anti-Semitic people working at Meta or other, you know, platforms, you know, we were all dealing with that. We've all dealt with that in the last 18 months, being shut down, not allowing comments, multitude of things, and it stinks. It's terrible, and there's not much to do about it. You know, you just have to kind of wait while you're in purgatory until you can come out. I was shut down for 3 months at one point, and so I don't know how do you deal with it. You just have to deal with it. I started a backup account is what I did for that. And so, you know, and now I have the real SV and the real .SV. But, but I think in terms of, you know, general conversations and so forth, going back to the question I was asked earlier, you know, I've had some people that that believe those mistruths and false narratives about Israel, and I try to just send them the correct information. I try to share that back out to them. In terms of being doxxed in other ways, though, I haven't had to, haven't had experienced that. Hopefully, I won't. But I know maybe some have.
I think when I think about the hate that we get, and I think all of us get hate, first of all, I'm constantly using the block button. So someone says something hateful or comments on anything on my grid, I'm just constantly blocking and blocking and blocking, and I spend a ridiculous amount of time doing that, but it's worth it. But the other thing is, I've always believed this with anything, and this is kind of just advice in general, that when you walk into any room in the world, there's some statistic that 90% of people will like you and 10% will really hate you. Like, because of how you look or because they have some sort of bias or whatever it is. And I've always believed that you should walk into the room thinking about the lovers and not the haters, because they're there and they're such a waste of your time. Just focus on the lovers. And I feel like that with this, there are so many people who are supporting you and love you, and those are the people I spend my time on. I never, ever think about the haters.
Yeah, I like you. I like you. I'm not one of the haters. I like you. For me, I kind of don't care. I'm not locking into nobody that don't like. I spent my whole life, everybody want to be loved. That's why they got the like button, the heart. Everybody on this earth likes to be loved, and that's just the truth. And we all are imperfect human beings, so I ain't trying to hear none of that. I lived in a negative space in my life, where I thought it was survival. A lot of people say it's survival. No, I was just in a negative place, and I wanted out. So I'm not listening to nobody that's talking sideways. I just don't want to hear it. So when I see them kind of comments, I'm just usually like, man, whatever. Like, you don't pay my bills, you don't take care of my kids, you don't do none of that. I go to the real reality. It don't matter. Your love is stronger.
And I would say, too, delete, block, move on. Like, don't care. Who cares? This is someone behind a screen. You don't know them, they don't know you, and they're not worth your time. We have so many bigger fights to fight. We cannot be worrying about the trolls online or people who are saying mean things. We're all adults. We all have thick skin. Let's thicken up our skin a little bit. But someone behind a screen is really not going to cause harm. And I would say stay par for the course, stay on task, and don't listen. Ignore them. And I mean, what I like to do now is I like to take screenshots of their dumb comments and I share it publicly. So like, that's kind of how I deal with it now. But move on. That's it. So I want to thank our panelists today so much. And I want to thank all of you again for taking that step and coming here and listening to all of us and being at Never Is Now, because being here is a huge step in fighting hate and anti-Semitism. We are better together, and we can't do this alone. So thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you in the plenary and the main stage later this afternoon. It's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much.